I've seen your TikToks.
Oh.
No, you have not.
I have seen.
No, you haven't. Have you
Because you are
actually?
so well spoken, young man.
And when random strangers can recognize your child because of how much they're posted, that is a problem. As a parent, you shouldn't want that for your kid. Your number one priority should be their safety, not dollar signs. Okay, so I've had some of you ask me, is there such a thing as an ethical family vlogger? Like, is there anyone out there actually doing this the right way? And I've always kind of landed in the same place. If your kids are a part of what you're monetizing, that's unethical. However, there is one couple that keeps coming up in these conversations where people are very quick to say, okay, normally I don't support family vlogging at all, but this couple, no. You've got them wrong. They're different. They're doing it right. They're amazing parents. And that couple is Connor and Liana. So that got me thinking, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a lot of us are wrong. Maybe there is a version of family vlogging that somehow avoids all the usual issues. And maybe, just maybe, Connor and Liana are the blueprint for what people mean when they talk about ethical family vlogging. So I decided to look into it. I didn't know anything about them before this. I hadn't watched their content. So I'm not coming into this as a fan, but I'm also not coming into this with pitchforks. Just skeptical, but open-minded. Basically, I want to know, are they truly the unicorns of the family vlogging world? Or are we just a little bit more forgiving when we like someone? And quick reminder to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. According to my analytics, 86% of you watching are not subscribed yet. And subscribing is one of the easiest ways to support my channel. Also hit the bell so you never miss an upload. And gonna be honest, at this point, the 13% of you who are subscribed are basically my sounding board for video ideas. So if you're wondering why this video exists, hello 13%ers. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, before we really get into this, I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to have Connor and Liana defenders in my comments very early on, probably before we even hit that 1 minute mark. And I know this because last month I did a video about the dangers of family vlogging, and I used Connor and Liana in the thumbnail and a few clips in the video. I didn't even mention their names, I didn't call them out, I didn't accuse them of anything, and yet that alone was enough to get people upset and immediately jumping to their defense. So if that's you, if you're someone who feels very protective of them, instead of reacting emotionally, I actually want to hear your reasoning. Tell me why you think they're doing this right. What makes them the exception? What do you think they're doing differently than other family vloggers? Because when doing this video, the research, all of that, I went into this with an open mind, and I'm more than open to having a thoughtful discussion about this. With that said, today we're going to be looking at not just their YouTube channel, but their entire online presence. Because it's 2026, and obviously YouTube is not the only platform being used to grow a brand. And when you put yourself into the family content niche online, you have created a brand for yourself, and that brand is you and your family. But before we even get into Connor and Liana specifically, I think we need to take a step back and talk about what actually makes family vlogging unethical in the first place. Because people often blur the lines between a parent, casually posting a family photo on a private Facebook page and a family vlogger uploading content for a massive audience. Like there's no difference at all between the two. For me personally, the line is pretty clear. The moment that you start monetizing your child, that's when it crosses into unethical territory. That's my hard line in the sand. And this isn't just a personal opinion. In an article from the Columbia Journal of Law and the Arts titled "The Children Are Not for Sale," legal scholars talked about what they called the monetized sharenting industry. They argue that it fundamentally undermines a child's ability to develop their own digital identity, and it directly contributes to well-documented psychological and reputational harm. The article even goes as far as to suggest that monetizing children online in this way could warrant a categorical exclusion from the First Amendment protection. Because when you really think about it, once children are being monetized, this is no longer just parents expressing themselves online. They're using their minor child, their image, their emotions, private moments from their life, and of course, their labor to generate income for the parent. And listen, we could get into all the reasons why family vlogging is a problem. I've talked about it a ton on my channel already, but I mainly wanted to give a quick baseline explanation of what a lot of people consider the line between sharing your kids online and crossing into unethical territory. We'll come back to this later, but now that we've laid the groundwork, let's actually look at Connor and Liana's YouTube channel. And just to be clear again, I had never watched them before. The only thing I really knew about them was the whole situation with Matt and Abby over a baby name.
I don't know if I'm gonna post this video, and it is absolutely no hate, but you might have seen that the couple, Matt and Abby, I know this is just their opinion, but they posted a clip on their TikTok and their YouTube shorts that they pulled out of their podcast, and they were talking about sort of like people naming their kids like new original names.
That was basically it, and even that, I really didn't know much about it, to be honest. I didn't really care to look much into it. So looking at their channel now, they have over 4 million subscribers, and they've been making content since 2019, well before they had kids. And if you go back to their earlier videos, it's pretty obvious from the very start that this was always a views first channel. This was never a we're just documenting memories for fun situation, you know, the excuse. From the start, they were doing whatever was popular at the time. Couple content, pranks, clickbait titles, trend hopping. When Liana got pregnant with their first child, there was a lot of pregnancy content. They even dipped their toes into van life content when that was popular on YouTube. So yeah, it's safe to say that they go where the views are, and honestly, that alone isn't shocking. That's how most influencers operate. But it also means we shouldn't be that surprised that once they had a baby, that the child became a part of the content. Because when you already know what performs and when money and growth are the priority, not your child's privacy and well-being, the next natural step for a lot of creators is to bring their kids into the brand. They become another reoccurring character on the channel, another way to keep the audience engaged. And the uncomfortable part is that the audience often encourages this. People get parasocially attached. Especially during pregnancy content, they start feeling entitled to access. You even see viewers getting upset at influencers who don't share their kids, which kind of says everything. But while Liana was pregnant with their first child, they actually addressed whether or not they'd be sharing the child in their content because somebody asked.
Will baby be shown on camera?
So this is a big question. A lot of people are like, what about baby's privacy, this, that and the other? And I personally think, as we speak for baby, we will be showing them on camera until baby says, listen, I don't want to be on camera. And until
At any age.
At any age. And until that point, even if they're a toddler and they say, I don't want to be on camera, then that's
if our 5-year-old
fine.
baby comes up to us and says, I don't want to be on camera, then that's absolutely fine. That's their choice. We're not going to put them on camera anymore.
But we make the choices for them until they have the capacity.
Mainly
to
so
say
we
that.
can make memories. I mean, videos can always be taken down. They can be privated. So at the end of the day, it's not gonna be that bad.
No.
We just want to keep the memories for now. It's just like making home videos, but we're just posting it for you guys.
And we know that you guys are respectful as well. So
we don't have a bad community. We have a great community.
I don't think we'd be jeopardizing baby's privacy in any way.
No.
Okay, so here's my take on that clip, and honestly, I have a lot of thoughts. But first, they say that if their child ever says that they don't want to be on camera, they'll respect that. But until then, they're making the decision for them. But is that really fair? Is that giving a young child any real choice when they don't even understand what's happening, let alone the long-term consequences of being online because their parents decided for them? And what happens if 10 years down the line, the child comes to them and says, I don't want this anymore? Connor says he can delete or private the videos, but at that point, it's already too late. The content exists, it's been shared, people have seen it. And the child has been recognized, not to mention many other potentially darker things could be happening with the content, all of which we've discussed before. But to me, that feels selfish. It's essentially using the child for as long as possible until they're old enough to even understand the gravity of what's happening. And that, frankly, is a problem. Not to mention, he said, all it is just home videos, which, if that's all it was, then why post it for the whole world? Why not keep them for just your family? More on that dumb, overly used excuse later. But the tone that they use, so nonchalant, like this is no big deal. Except it really is. But okay, so looking at their content after their first child was born, here's what stood out to me. Out of 132 videos since then, at least one of their kids appears in the thumbnails of 76 of them. That's more than half. And that's just thumbnails. We're not even talking about what's actually in the videos themselves, because obviously they are in more videos just because they're not in the thumbnail. And honestly, TikTok is even more heavy on the kid focused content. Going through Liana's TikTok, her kids are in every single video thumbnail, especially her oldest, who is 3. There's really no effort, it seems like at least, to separate her content from her children at all. Right now, their oldest child is their brand. Honestly, I think if they took him out of the content, their channel would financially feel that impact. And I know people will say, they were successful before they had him. They don't need him for views, which, okay, fair. But then why is he so heavily featured across all their social media marketing, all their channels? The answer is simple. He is part of the brand. And their audience, they expect nothing less. Now, this is where the conversation gets interesting to me and what sparked this video idea kind of in the first place. Because whenever Connor and Liana come up, and especially Liana, people get very defensive. Even people who openly say that they don't like family vloggers will turn around and say, no, not her, she's different. I saw this firsthand when I used her in a thumbnail once. People told me I was wrong, that I should remove her from that thumbnail, that she's really nice, that she's been through pregnancy loss, and that she's very open and honest about motherhood. And listen, I feel genuine sympathy for what she's been through. I really do. But I don't understand how that suddenly makes it okay to heavily feature her children online. Being likable, being open, and having a sad or difficult backstory, it doesn't automatically make this ethical. Because when people say, well, she's just being open about parenthood, I'm like, that's literally what family vloggers say. That's the exact justification many of them use, and they're criticized for that all the time. I think a lot of people feel like, well, the content is innocent, so what's the problem? And here's the thing, just because someone isn't doing something extreme, like a Ruby Frankie situation, doesn't automatically make the monetization of children okay. I also think we need to talk about Ruby Frankie for a second, because her name always comes up in these conversations. And yes, what she did was extreme. It was horrific. It was criminal. There's no minimizing that. But the problem is that Ruby Frankie has become the lowest possible bar for family vlogging. Like, as long as a creator isn't doing that, many people assume everything else must be fine. And that logic just doesn't work. Ruby Frankie represents one very extreme outcome. She's not the standard, she's the warning sign. Using her as the comparison point actually lets a lot of creators off the hook, because suddenly the conversation shifts from, is this ethical? To, well, at least it's not being, you don't need to be physically harming your child for the content to still be exploitative. You don't need extreme physical or mental harm for there to be long-term consequences. Children can be harmed by overexposure, loss of privacy, and having their entire childhood archived online without consent, even when everything looks happy and harmless on the surface. So yes, Ruby Frankie should absolutely be part of the conversation, but as an example of how bad things can get, not as the benchmark that decides whether everything else is acceptable. Because listen up, even when the content seems harmless, innocent, children still cannot consent. Real quick, a break to talk to you guys about today's sponsor. Okay, so something about me is that I hate grocery shopping. I hate grocery planning. I have tried out all of the delivery grocery services that you can possibly think of, and that's why I can honestly say that I was very, very impressed with Hungry Root. Hungry Root is a personalized grocery delivery service. You tell them what you like, what you don't, and what you're trying to do health-wise. Instead of having to plan out my grocery list, what I'm gonna get, having to worry about labels and all of that, Hungry Root does it all for you. There's no junk ingredients, and they only source high-quality meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics. So if you want to try this out today for yourself, they have a great offer. 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com and use the code behind the screen. That's hungryroot.com, code behind the screen for 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. And thank you to Hungry Root for sponsoring this video. A 3-year-old and a baby cannot agree to have their image, their lives, and their identities monetized online. And when random strangers can recognize your child because of how much they're posted, that is a problem.
I've seen your TikToks.
Oh.
No, you have not.
I have seen.
No, you haven't. Have you
Because you are
actually?
so well spoken, young man.
As a parent, you shouldn't want that for your kid. Your number one priority should be their safety, not dollar signs. There's really no other way to put that. I think that a lot of people got upset because in my thumbnail, I put Liana's picture with the words content babies over it. And I get it. I get it. Some people thought I was implying that Connor and Liana only had kids to make content. And that's not what I meant at all, actually. Here's the thing. By definition, a content kid or baby is just a child whose childhood is being monetized by their parents for online consumption. And that's exactly what Connor and Liana are doing with their kids, just like countless other influencers who include their children in content for their brand. Now, yes, I do think there are some influencers who genuinely have kids primarily for content purposes. And no, I don't think that's the case for Connor and Liana. But that doesn't change the fact that their kids are, in fact, content kids. Their childhoods are part of the brand. And that's what we're really talking about here. I also can't help but wonder if Liana gets more slack than other mommy vloggers because, sure, she's likable. I get that. But I also think part of it is that people feel sympathy for her. I'm not going to do a deep dive into her relationship with Connor because that's not really the point of this video. But it does seem like the audience prefers her over him. And honestly, I think that's partially by design. There's a long-running storyline on their channel, apparently. Liana wants to get married and Connor isn't ready. The narrative keeps viewers invested. And apparently they even had a podcast that was very recently deleted. From what I could see, it seems like it was taken down because of a clip that surfaced where Connor was criticized for how he was treating Liana.
Just before we left now to come here, about 6 nappies by the side of your side of the bed.
Right, because I had to do all the nappy changes in the night.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying they never make it downstairs.
Oh. I was going to
It
say...
doesn't matter. I'm not saying you don't ever do it. I'm just saying that you don't prioritise cleaning up the mess. Which is fine.
Yeah, I mean...
But I'm saying...
And honestly, that seems to be a recurring conversation about them online. People don't love how she's treated by him. So does that play into why she gets so much of a free pass? Maybe, I don't know. Again, people were upset with me for putting her in a thumbnail because she experienced loss. Let me make this clear. That is horrible, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But does that give her a free pass for continuing to post her kids online all the time? You tell me. But all that to say, am I saying that Connor and Liana are horrible people or horrible parents? Absolutely not. I know there are far worse examples out there on YouTube and social media, like some other British family vloggers we all know and love, the Saucony Jolies. Their kids are older now, and a lot of their content has become disturbing, to say the least. Check my video out on that if you have not already. But here's the thing, their channel didn't start out that way. Back then, when they first started, it was just home videos, innocent, family-style content. And that's where Connor and Liana are at right now. Their oldest is still really young, and at that age, it's not hard to make videos that come across as cute or harmless, especially when your audience is already so attached, which clearly theirs is. I'm not saying that Connor and Liana are headed down the same path as the Saucony Jolies, but we've seen it happen again and again. Family vloggers start out innocent, and over time, as more content is made and more data is collected, it becomes clear that even harmless content can have real consequences. I mean, with where AI is going, it's scary. I've already seen some news stories of people taking images and video clips of kids and using them to create you-know-what type of content, as well as a lot of other really scary things.
Do you know what can happen to pictures of your children that you put on social media? If you have worked for the government in child divisions, please speak up and tell us. Facial recognition is so advanced that if you post pictures of your children online, hackers can follow your children through any camera, Ring cameras or even school cameras. Data mining can take pictures of your children from online and generate profiles that are passed around for not good things, Epstein style. Photos of your children online can lead to hackers entering their computers and engaging them in conversation. Think about Roblox. Photos of your children can be used to make false identifications for them. Keep your social media private. Check your privacy settings, limit what you share with strangers, and educate your children.
But a valid question I think could be asked for any kids on social media as part of their parents' content. As they get older, will they want all of this permanently online? Will they want to be recognized publicly for the rest of their lives? Will they want to have to deal with the potential consequences because so much of their lives is online? And the truth is, no one can answer that, not even the parents. Whether or not they're monetizing their kids, the bigger question is, should this even be allowed? Should there be rules in place to prevent parents' pursuit of views and money from taking away a child's privacy or even their childhood? A lot of family influencers say it's just home videos. I mean, we've seen Connor and Liana describe their channel that way. Just videos of their life at home. No big deal, right? But here's the thing. Should the world really have access to a stranger's home videos? There's a big difference between an adult willingly sharing their life, knowing all the risks, and a child who doesn't understand the dangers at all. And that's the part we cannot ignore. For example, they posted a video of just Connor and Liana going on a trip. That's basically the content of the whole video. But that's not what got people to click. It was the title, "We Got an Unexpected Call." And what do they spend the last part of the video doing? Reading every single detail of a text that Liana's parents sent about their child being sick. All of it personal medical information, because according to Connor, they share everything with their audience. Here's the thing, if this were really just for home videos, the purpose would be to capture memories, not to pull people in with vague, concerning titles and thumbnails. And you certainly would not be sharing private medical details about your child for the entertainment of your internet besties. But here's the thing, for Connor and Liana, these are not home videos. They are their livelihood. And views and engagement matter. I asked you 13%ers if any of you think there is such a thing as ethical family vlogging while doing my research. And the majority of you said, absolutely not. Some said if the kids are blurred, that's better at least. One of you said, no, not really. I think some start out believing everything is fine and their intentions are good and wholesome. They convince themselves that they will stop filming if the child no longer wants to be on camera. And then they realize how much money they are making and have gotten used to all of the perks of that lifestyle and simply will not give that up. Especially now with the advancement of AI, something as innocent as little kids being filmed at the popsicle gets distorted into a truly disgusting image on the dark web. And I couldn't agree more with that. I think that could even be said with Connor and Liana. While their intentions, it might not be bad. And they say they'll stop if asked by their kids. Will they though? I mean, truly, with the revenue that their kids are bringing in, will they even be able to? Another comment I liked said, people are forming parasocial relationships with babies and children they have never met. That's just concerning on so many levels. Even parents who are nice, good people are being unethical by posting their kids and building platforms off of them. And again, I think that could 100% relate to Connor and Liana when it comes to their audience. I mean, reading through their comment section, they get thousands of people commenting specifically about their son, as if it's their own family member. You can tell that there is a serious attachment their audience has specifically for their son. So again, do I think they're horrible parents? No. Their kids seem happy. They seem healthy. They're hitting their milestones. But here's the part that really matters. Should I, as a complete stranger, know any of that about the kids? I don't think I should. I don't think any of us should. And the fact that so many people do know these things about strangers children, and that it brings a lot of them joy and comfort is at the very least something we should be questioning, because that level of access to a child's life, it should not be normal. And also, I do want to make one thing clear. I don't make these videos thinking I'm going to change the minds of the parents running these channels. The truth is, they already know all of the concerns. They know the risks. And the scary part, they've probably experienced very scary situations behind the scenes that they'll never share online, because doing so would break the illusion that all they're posting are just innocent, cute family videos. The people I make these videos for are the audience, the ones watching this content. My goal is to get them to think a little differently about how they consume it. And honestly, it works. I've had so many people leave comments saying that after watching my videos, they realized something was off about these family vloggers that they used to enjoy watching. Some even unsubscribed from these family vloggers they genuinely liked because they saw it all for what it really is, that monetizing children is wrong. Oversharing them online to the point where strangers can recognize them in public is concerning. Seriously, it's not harmless, and recognizing that, even in the content that seems cute and innocent, is a huge step into hopefully this all becoming an even bigger conversation. We're past the point of pretending that we don't know better. The information is out there, and more keeps coming out. And just because something felt okay or was socially acceptable 10 plus years ago, it doesn't mean that it should still be the standard today. But I do think that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think about this one. Is there any way that family vlogging can be considered ethical? In my opinion, absolutely not. Obviously. But I'm curious where you stand on this issue. But hit that thumbs up button like I begged in the beginning. If you're still here, at least, thank you as always, and hopefully I will see you again next time.